Hello, welcome back. How excited are you? Gosh, I can feel the excitement through the screen. We're on conflicting viewpoints, practicing group work number 1. This is not the intro. We did the intro last time. This is number 1. What am I going to do today? I'm going to do this one for you. So this is Kraviec. This is you do this one timed. I'll still work through it, and you do these last two as homework. So you've got a little work to do. These last two will be homework for you. I'll do actually both of these, but you do the second one. It's a timed passage. I'll tell you what to do. Don't worry. These conflicting viewpoints are going to get a little harder than last time. If you haven't noticed, I'm tending to ramp up difficulty as we increase or as we go through a given passage type, and we'll have a similar process in math. We'll start with the pre-algebra and we'll go to the hard stuff, right? So let's get into it. All right. So I look at this. I see some family trees that maybe you remember from a previous passage. Haven't seen things like this in a minute, but let's just jump right in. I might read a little bit about the intro, talking about bats and birds have used wings for flight. Great. 2 students present opposing views about whether the presence of wings is an indication that bats and birds are more closely related to each other than either it is to vertebrates without wings, such as humans. Okay, so that's what the heck we're talking about. Are bats and birds more closely related to each other, or is it vertebrates without wings? Talking about relationships. Who's closer in terms of the big old tree of life thing? Number 14. Student 2. Cladogram indicates which of the following vertebrates listed below belong to the thing that originates at node Z. Okie dokie. Well, I'm going to go up here, and there's node Z, and I might say, okay, who comes out of node Z? Hopefully you notice that bats and birds come out of node Z. Do I know what that means? No. But bats and birds are 2 and 3. That's answer option H, and I just got a point on my ACT for being able to connect the lines there. Congratulations to you. Number 15, consider the statement, bats have a small claw that sticks out a wing and functions like a human thumb. Okay, that statement supports which of the, okay, so this is making me think, okay, they think bats are like humans. Who has bats like humans? I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Bats. Okay. Oh, bat can move into much like moved in a hand. Bone structure of a bat wing is more similar to bone. Okay, great. So that seems good. Looks like it's student 1. Why? Because student 1 claims that the similarity of bone structure provides evidence that bats and humans are closely related. All right, so it's looking like B on that one. How did I find that? Who said it was like humans? Who like a human thumb? All right. So great. Number 16, in student 1's cladogram, it's the graph, is the MRCA. Oh, I don't know what that is. Search of bats and humans represented at node C or node D. Most recent common ancestor, MRCA. Student 1, bats and humans. Where's their most recent common ancestor? Right there, node D. Why? It includes bats and humans, but not birds. Notice, as well as birds and not birds. Could have crossed out C right away. Would have been left with those two. A keen eye sees that the only difference between those two answer options is the as well as and the but not. And noticing that the birds, but not, they're back there at C. It's the first place they connect up. Number 17, which of the students, if either, presents a cladogram that is consistent with the statement, birds and humans, but not bats, share a common ancestor. So what would that look like? So I'd have bird human, but not bat. Okay, what would that, do we have one that looks like that? Birds and humans are close, but not bats? No, nobody thinks that birds and humans are particularly close. We're not. So that's going to be a neither. That's going to be answer option D. So 3 left. This is goofy. This is a goofy one. Which of the following cladograms is consistent? Same. With the cladogram constructed by student 2. Okay, this one's goofy. So I'm going to look over here at student 2, and I'm going to say, okay, we got bats and birds close together. Bats, point X, node Z. So I'm looking for a line that has bats, point X, node Z. All right, bats, point X, node Z. Bats, okay, so it's one of these, it's either H or J. Excuse me. Yes, that's correct. G or J. Rather, we've got bats, point X, node Z, bats, point X, node Z, and that lines up over here, bats, point X, node Z. But what's on the other side of that? Birds. Bats, point X, node Z, humans, bats, point X, node Z, birds. What's it got to be? Got to be answer option J. It's like if we took this graph and like stretched it around, which one could we get it to look like? The answer there being J. 2 left. Which of the students of either would be likely to claim that the MRC of bats and birds did not have wings? Okay. Well, I don't know. Here's the MRCA of bats and birds. They probably has wings. All right, but here the MRCA of bats and birds is back here. Well, this thing probably doesn't have wings. So why would that thing also have wings? So if both of these have wings, then this thing might also have wings. But this has wings and this has no wings. So that makes me think this, maybe, we don't know. But if both of the things have wings, then I'm thinking that thing probably has wings too. So I'm thinking this is probably, student 2 would say they do have wings. Student 1 might say that it does not. Last one, student 2 implies which of the following morphological traits evolved at points W and X? Take a look at student 2. Humans and bats are both mammals, but the mammalian characteristics of humans and bats evolved at points W and X respectively. Mammalian characteristics. What is a characteristic of a mammal? What's something that a mammal has? Mammal. Mammals have mammary glands to feed their young. Okay, so producing milk for their young. That is a thing that mammals have. That's going to be 20J. So I just worked through that one with you. 71H got a little block sliding down an incline. It's a real thriller. So you pause, take 5 minutes to work through this thing. This would be this is a great example of a passage that you'd save for the 5-minute warning and dump as quickly as you can. So let's pause. Do it. You've paused. Thank you for pausing. Now let's come back together and do this thing. Number 11, suppose that a feather and a brick were dropped from the same height above the surface of the moon. Great. Which of the 3 student discussions, based on 3 student discussions, which prediction would each student make regarding whether the feather or the brick would be the first to reach moon's surface, or whether it would reach at the same time? Okay. Feathers and bricks. Great. And so reach the surface. Okay, so whoever says to reach the surface, it's like probably sliding to the bottom of the thing. Okay. So what am I reading for? What's going to reach first? Therefore, the average speed of block A will, all right, block A will reach the bottom first. Block B will reach the bottom first. Same time. Oh, So 3 says same time. 3, same time. This would be a really hard question if there wasn't an answer that really stuck out like a sore thumb. So going through and finding that same time makes that question real quick. That's a painful question if not. Number 12, which of the students agree that the acceleration due to gravity varies with the mass of the block? Okay. Force of gravity equals, all right, force of gravity equals block's mass times block acceleration due to gravity. Okay. Because block B has more mass, the force of gravity exerted on Earth on block B is greater than the exert. Okay, so greater. All right. Acceleration will be greater. All right. Same acceleration. So it's going to be 1 and 2 only on 12 there, F. Number 13. These are hard. Like, there's not, the explanations on these aren't as fun. And I can't like just underline stuff. You got to like hold things in your brain. Number 13, according to student 2, as the force of gravity exerted on the block increases, will the average speed of the block increase or decrease in y? Okay, according to student 2. All right. All right. Block B is heavier, so the acceleration will be greater, and block B will slide down with a greater average speed. So as the force of gravity increases, the average speed will increase because the weight of the block will increase. A. Number 14, based on student 1's discussion, how will the acceleration of block A compare to the acceleration of block B? Okay. Force of gravity equals block's mass times block acceleration. Okay, F equals M times A. Great. How will the acceleration of block A compare to block B? The acceleration of block A will be, all right. Well, what do I know? Mass of block A is 1, mass of block B is 2. Thus, the mass of block A times the acceleration of block A must equal the mass of block B times the acceleration of block B. Okay, so M1A1 equals M2A2. All right. And we're saying if it's got half the mass, if the mass is 1 over here, and the mass is 2 over here, then this acceleration's got to be half as big, and this acceleration's got to be twice as big. So the mass on block A has to be twice as great as the acceleration, the acceleration of block A has to be twice as great as the acceleration of block B. If they're equal, and one of the things is twice as big as the other one, if the mass is twice as big, to equal these out, the acceleration of this one has got to be twice as big. Okay. Number 15. 2 new blocks, x and y have the same mass. Assume the relationship between fx and fy is the same as the relationship by student 1. So again, that's mx ax equals my ay. Consider also student 1's statement relating the force of Earth's gravity on a block to the block's mass and its acceleration due to Earth's gravity. Will block X have the same acceleration or a different acceleration down the incline as block Y and Y? Because the mass of, okay, so this guy says that the mass is less, the acceleration of block A must be greater. And that's another thing that could have helped us back on the last question. If the mass is less, the acceleration of the other thing has to be greater. If X and Y have the same mass, if they have the same mass, then mass divides away and they must have the same acceleration. If they have the same mass, then they must have the same acceleration because the force of Earth's gravity on each block will be the same. That's going to be answer option A there. These are hard. You got to read. This one doesn't even have a lot of word searching in it. This one just sucks. Number 16, the force of gravity on a block equals the block's mass times the block's acceleration due to Earth's gravity. Cool. Based on this information, student 3's assertion about the block's acceleration is the force on block A greater than or less than the force on block B and Y. All right, force is mass times acceleration due to gravity. Student 3 says they have the same acceleration. So, force on block A equals 1 times G. Force on block B equals 2 times G. And clearly G and 2G, which one's bigger? 2G is greater than G, or rather G is less than 2G. Is the force on block A greater than or less than? The force on A is less than because block A's mass is less than block B's mass. That's going to be J there. One left. Number 17. These are hard. Number 17, based on student one's discussion, is acceleration, as acceleration increases, will the time it takes to block to reach the bottom of the incline increase or decrease in Y? If it's speeding up faster, it's going to take less time to get to the bottom because the average speed will increase. Hopefully you know how acceleration works. If you accelerate faster, you get up to speed faster. You don't need any reading to do that one. That one's C. You got two passages left. We got a passage about some melting points and boiling points. If two samples have the same values for all 5 properties, for any 3 properties, for mass, volume, density, melting point, and boiling point. I'm just pointing out some things that you're going to ask me about later. And on this one, we are making a volcano, but we're doing it in the bottle. Fun times. So 2 passages left to do. That's on you. This will all get turned in one location. It'll be practice and homework combined. This is number 1. Next time I see you, probably taking a practice test. Adios.